Hi everybody, this is Black Rhino Ranger. Since it's going to be exactly 1 month until my birthday, I thought about doing another commentary series on my animations. This time, for each day until my birthday, we'll be looking at my animation countdowns towards my birthday, which each day represents the year of my existence, like from 1994 when I was born to 2024, which was last year. Here. I'll be talking about some behind the scenes stuff of what was in the animation, what I could have included in the animation, why I chose these specific themes, why this, why that, and which of these are my most favorite cartoons of within each year, which is my most favorite animated movie within each year, and which is my favorite video game of each year. Yeah. And I'll also be bringing up some honorable mentions, which I'll try and explain to why they didn't make it, but other times I thought they were close calls, or I just preferred the one I chose more. Okay, so without further ado, let's start up with 1994, the year I was born. Here's my mascot as a baby. And when I decided to do this as an album thing, and I'm not sure where I got that idea from. I think it was from the Owl House with Luz and Amity's Summer Memories book, where they go on these places on Earth in Gravesfield, like going on a risky rapids and going against some bees, going on a Lumity earthly date. Watching Hocus Pocus and and cringing at all the witchy stereotypes that movie presented. If only that had a full season. Never mind. So what is my most favorite cartoon that came out the year I was born? Gargoyles. It's dark, it's serious, has a bit of humor here and there, has some great mythological world building. Basically, it's Disney's answer to Batman. I do wish the people who made Gargoyles could continue it in some way, like through specials, like spin-offs, like Time Dancer, where Brooklyn, the Red Gargoyle, goes back in time with the Phoenix Gate to several different parts of history, like back in the old periods during the 1970s, and I wonder during the time of the dinosaurs too. There's actually also spin-off plans for the Dark Ages, like taking place before the Gargoyles were frozen in stone by a magic spell for 1,000 years. And there's also spin-offs focusing on the other the other beings that Gargoyles have met, like the New Olympians and the London Clan. But I heard from what I've heard, there was a bit of executive meddling at Disney Television Animation, which gave us the Gargoyles, the Goliath Chronicles, which the creator, Greg Weisman, considers non-canon, except for the first episode. Nevertheless, I still really like this show, and I heard they're making a live-action show out of it, but I don't know what to think about it. So what are my honorable mentions? Duckman, which is basically the BoJack Horseman of the 90s. Can be a little bit weird. Some of the designs may look a bit strange, but it has a nice commentary on some of the political climate at the time, like how comedy is often squeaky clean instead of risque. Like, sure, humor can hurt, even alienate, but the risk is better than the alternative. A steady giant of chapu flavorish mush. Demand to be challenged, to be offended, to be treated like thinking, reasoning adults, and raise your children to be the same. Don't let a committee or an evil genius take away your freedom to laugh at whatever you want. Twitter's gonna have a big field day if Duckman was a real person. Anyways, number 2 would be Real Monsters. basically a creepier version of Monsters Inc. Where monsters have to go into the human world to scare them to go back, otherwise they'll disappear. They scare for a living. There's a lot of creativity with the monster designs and stuff. There's number 3 is Aladdin, the TV series. I found myself enjoying this a lot as a kid. There was the Garden of Evil, which features this tree who kidnaps Jasmine, and I thought it was a pretty good show. Oh, that based on a TV series. And then there's Street Sharks. Street Sharks, along with Extreme Dinosaurs, was basically me and my cousins' Ninja Turtles at the time. They were basically meant to cash in on the Ninja Turtles, but we found ourselves enjoying the Ninja Turtles more. As for the animated film, my most favorite, of course, is The Lion King. What more can I say about it? The animation, the characters, the story resembling Hamlet, the music, the score by Hans Zimmer, and the songs like Hakuna Matata, Be Prepared, Circle of Life, Can't Wait to Be Teen, etc. Almost everything about that movie is absolutely perfect. What do I think about the Lion King remake? Half for me. Has its good elements. Like they are great at animating realistically, but it's the Lion King. I don't think it's something that's made for that. It's just not. It's beautiful to look at, but it's just not the Lion King. What about Mufasa? It's alright. I find it a bit better than the Lion King remake, but not by much. And what are my honorable mentions? The ones I would say that are my honorable mentions are not necessarily the ones that are very well praised. There's Return of Jafar, which I don't really see as a sequel to Aladdin, but I see it more as a pilot to the TV series. But I do think it's a good way to showcase Iago's redemption arc. And The Great Valley Adventure, which is the sequel to The Land Before Time. I am aware that The Land Before Time is a masterpiece. It's very dark, but unfortunately it came out before I was born, so I had to exclude it. Now, The Great Valley Adventure, I think, is one of the better sequels of the Land Before Time sequel lineup. And it was we get to visit Chomper, the little T-Rex. Thumbelina, which is which may be one of Don Bluth's weaker movies, but I certainly take it over Rockadoodle and A Troll in Central Park. And it also has Gilbert Gottfried as the Beetle. Not the most memorable soundtrack and not the most memorable of characters, but I still think I have a bit of a soft spot for it. I think it was one of the earlier days when I was okay with fairies before some other show happened, but I'm not gonna mention that further in my videos. And then finally, there's Scooby-Doo and the Arabian Nights. I heard it's one of the lesser of the Scooby-Doo movies, and I hear not a lot of people like it, saying it looks a little too cartoonish and over the top, and there's no Fred, Velma, and Daphne. It's just Scoob and Shaggy. But it's basically the 1001 Arabian Nights by Scheherazade, but told through the perspective of Shaggy in a disguise. He talks about Aladdin with Yogi Bear as the genie, and Sinbad with Magilla Gorilla. And I think there was another one, but I can't really remember. But nevertheless, but heck, looking at Be Cool Scooby-Doo, I think this is better. Anyways, now as for video games, my most favorite is, this is a bit of a strange combo. It's either, wait, let me just check down if I've written it. Okay, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's basically a combination of Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, wrapped up in one video game. It requires a special addition to it, a special extension to it. You have to combine both the Sonic and the Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles into one. I had a PC version of the game where you have the option to select either Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and Sonic and Knuckles. But I found myself playing Sonic 3 and Knuckles the most. One of my honorable mentions: Tekken 1, the start of the Tekken series. The Lion King video game, I actually did remember playing the Game Boy version on my dad's PC, but my sister had me accidentally deleted. The Aladdin Active Center game, I don't know if a lot of people know about that, and well, it's either Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles. It's a bit of a tie separately. That's all I have to say, really. So anyways, let's continue on. Oh, by the way, the music I got is from the Mr. Men TV series from 1970s, where it's a very calming music, the Mr. Men show, back in the 70s. The Little Misses had a more 80s or 70s disco-ish poppy music time. And the Mr. Men show is a bit more like a bright, sunny pop song. No, not pop, but a bright and sunny type of theme song. Okay, so over here now, another thing I wanted to do in this scenario was I was originally supposed to have Black Rhino Ranger be in a castle, like he's the king of the castle, and everybody who comes is basically royal subjects or guests for the castle. I didn't have a lot of time for that, so I had to just use a blank background and just have Black Rhino Ranger look like as he is. So instead of drawing Goliath, I drew Desdemona, Goliath's former lover. I think I made a small error on that part, where I supposed here she gives him the letter, and then she realizes that it's daytime. If you remember in Gargoyles, stone by day, warriors by night. During daytime, they go into a stone sleep. She shrugs, and then she goes and then she starts to freeze into stone. I added in this little line here that says, "At least he's not human." Remembering the fact that she often has a hatred towards humans. In fact, there was an episode where she showcases Brooklyn, of how cruel humans can be, where these two couples are fighting each other. They started beating each other up or something like that. And Brooklyn is like, well, maybe, but Eliza's not all that bad. She's actually pretty good. And Demona's like, perhaps Eliza is the exception that proves the rule. As in, she has seen the worst of humanity, but she hasn't really seen a lot of the ones that are actually pretty good. So here I am just trying to open the letter. This is by Zuri Pig. Now this one, the 1994 one, it was a test. It was a test to see how this would work. Originally, it was supposed to be released a lot earlier. It was supposed to be made at an earlier date, but because I had a bit of a computer problem at the time and I was behind on some projects, I had to release it exactly 1 month before my birthday. I was a bit short on time. Now, for those who don't know, Zuri Pig is the username of my sister and her boyfriend. They're the ones who asked me this question. I basically asked them to ask me any type of question. And this is what he said. They said, out of all the places you lived, what's your favorite? And I said to him, both Malaysia and England have their ups and downs. And I made an entire big list of what are the ups and what are the downs of England and Malaysia. For the ups, it's a birth home. For the ups of England, it's my birth home, warm and long days in summer, Although that's a little bit outdated because I actually remember feeling a bit chilled in some of the summer days. Cheaper video games. No joke. I actually can buy video games in England at a cheaper price than in Malaysia. In fact, the Skylanders back in the days in England, they only costed about £7 to £8, but in Malaysia they cost 70 ringgit. Historical places to visit. Plenty of historical places like William Shakespeare's home, Beatrix Potter's home, Warwick Castle, and many others, Alton Towers, etc. I could get away with dirty jokes. Malaysians probably won't understand. Good service. Yes. In fact, most people in England are like, do you have any allergies? Like, are you allergic to gluten? Are you allergic to milk or anything like that? But Malaysia, they're like, no, you have to have roti. You have to have rice. There's more meat options. As in tons and tons of meat. In Malaysia, there's only about fish or beef or chicken or lamb, but in England you can try other types of meats like a pheasant or quail. Actually, pheasant or pigeon or lobster or something. Well, there's a pheasant. And veal. Of course, there's veal. I don't think I can find veal in Malaysia. I saw Weird Al Yankovic live. And must I remind people that I have a video showcasing evidence that I have met Weird Al live in England? It's the third time he visited. It was the first time he visited England. He's on another tour right now, but I'm not sure if we got any UK dates this time. Easy Skylander scavenger hunt. It was easier to find as many different Skylanders in England than there are in Malaysia. There are very identifiable shops, a lot of shops to easily identify, especially for video games. We have shops called Game or Game Station. I don't know how many of them are closed at this time, but there's Game Station. We had some retail stores like Tesco and Asda. They used to sell some Skylanders and other video games. We used to have a Best Buy, but that's gone. There's Argos, there's TK Maxx. We used to have a Toys R Us in England, but that's gone, etc. In Malaysia, the video game shops are very difficult to identify and they're not easy to find. We do have a few, I do know a few like Gamers Corners and Gamers Hideout, but that's about it. More places I can eat and trust. And I mean, in Malaysia, we're kind of skeptical on going to various restaurants. We never know if they added in any bad ingredients and stuff. In England, we have a lot more options. We have a lot more freedom to eat wherever we want. It has the best zoos. London Zoo, Chester Zoo, Whipsnade Zoo. And there's plenty of others I haven't even seen, but I bet they're pretty good. Malaysia doesn't have that. Malaysian zoos have been kind of a bit down recently. I remember revisiting Zoo Taiping and Zoo Negara. They kind of went a bit downhill since the pandemic. Less dangerous animals. Yes, we got. There's still some dangerous ones, but they're not as dangerous as the ones in Malaysia. We got fox, a badger, a porcupine. No, not porcupine. Hedgehog, weasel. Pretty much any animal that was presented in the Animals of Farting Wood. While in Malaysia, we have saltwater crocodiles, king cobras, any type of tarantula that may not be killer venom, but still significantly potent, health sufficient, potent venom, and we used to have a rhino, but that's extinct. We have Asian elephants that can still trample you, etc. chances to see wild, a chance to see wild animals and ground birds. Unlike the Malaysian animals, we have a bigger option to see animals in England. I remember me and my dad were. I remember when renting a house with a huge garden, and there was a red fox that was crossing my path, and I remember me and my dad were driving out. We accidentally separated two badgers, and I did remember seeing a few rabbits and a few roadkill animals, unfortunately. And I remember seeing some pheasants as well. Nice view of farms, lovely landscapes, cozy cottages, no cockroaches, bigger Disney Plus. No, really, the Disney Plus in Malaysia is very tiny compared to Disney Plus. Still a little bit nipped that they removed one particular type of show, which I will mention later. Religion isn't restricted. Bigger human diversity. Easy parking spaces, quieter cinemas, LGBT friendly. CD shops are still there. Yeah, and in fact, in Malaysia, we got no more DVD shops. They're all gone. Everybody's looking. It's just doing streaming and stuff. If no DVDs available. Oh. And the only type of CD places are the video game shops. And while I'm there, I have a very energetic mind, which I can come up with as many different ideas as possible. Now, as for the Alps of Malaysia, it is my ancestral home, as I am of Malaysian descent. Tropical beaches, good health care. In fact, in England, they said this wart on my lip would fall off, but Malaysians say no, it won't fall off. You got to have it cut off, and they managed to get it cut off. Shops open super late. They usually open until about 10 p.m. to 11 or 11 p.m. I have international family and friends residing here. Since I'm a guy of many different Asian backgrounds, I'm of Chinese, Malay, Pakistani, Indian, Indonesian, Thai, and Cambodian. And I got a lot of relatives from various different cultures. I know someone who's both British and Malaysian combined, and I had some. I used to go to an international school with a variety of different folks there, etc. Has very good food, good tasty food. Has a variety of flavors. Okay, for the good food thing, it has in my opinion, better McDonald's and KFC than in England. A variety of different flavors. You can have there. Malaysia has a variety of different flavors. While in England, some of the flavors tend to be a bit bland at times. They don't often put in salt on the fish, or they don't. They don't. Malaysia, they love the taste. They love flavor. Sometimes to a fault, as they sometimes add in sugar, but what can you do? And I saw Postmodern Jukebox and Michael Bublé live. For those who don't know, Postmodern Jukebox is basically a 1920s, 30s, 40s, or 50s recreation of whatever was a modern pop song at the time. Like, they would sing Barbie Doll in a style of a 50s or 60s Beach Boys type of music. Like, come on Barbie, let's go party, ah. And they would do a saxophone take on Iggy Azalea's Fancy, much more pleasing to the ears. And some other things, etc. I discovered them in a restaurant when somebody was playing some Tuesday. I was like, why does it sound like Gangster's Paradise but more jazzed up? That's what my mom told me. And I also saw Michael Bublé live. She was one of my mom's favorite bands. You know, the one who sang, I just haven't met you yet. The seats were terrible though, but we managed to go there. Best fast food restaurants. Again, McDonald's and KFC's. Better than in England and Malaysia. Better than in England. Best aquariums. Yes, KLCC Kuala Lumpur has a great aquarium, and I remember going to Underwater World in Langkawi. Pretty good aquariums. Crocodile Farm. While there, it was a Crocodile Farms. I love crocodiles. That's all I have to say. finest swimming pools. In England, the swimming pools are often indoors, and it can be very cold when you exit out. But in Malaysia, since it's outside on a very warm tropical climate, much better. Nice warm bed. I don't know why I said that. Bathrooms and shower more often. Since England is very cold, it makes you not want to shower or bathe so often because of how chilly it can be and how sick you can easily become if you're not careful. Chance of seeing exotic animals. While wild animals in England are easier to see, there is still a chance you may encounter some exotic animals from Malaysia too. Like, I remember seeing a monitor lizard enter our house at one point, and a civet used to be on our bars. And I remember seeing an eagle nesting next to our house on an electric pole. It has some of the biggest malls I have ever seen. In fact, some of these malls are a lot bigger than the ones in England. We have some of the tallest towers in the world, the Petronas Towers. And more mobility options means since it's a 24/7 warm climate, I can move about anytime I want. I can jog out and exercise and stuff. In England, I feel like I just want to cuddle myself to bed because of how cold it is. Easier to make money. I hear in richer countries like US and UK, it's more difficult to make money than in Malaysia. Butt washers. I ain't gonna touch. Moving on. Chinese New Year is more prominent. Since I am of Chinese descent, Chinese New Year is more essential to me than, say, Valentine's Day. Bigger biodiversity. Like I said, the exotic animals thing, but other types of plants can be seen too, like the rafflesia, and you might encounter a few pine cones despite it being a tropical climate. Can't wear short sleeve shirts all the time. In England, you have to wear long sleeves, and I always find myself bothered by that. Best bookstores. Technically, the bookstores are kind of fading out a bit, but there is one in Malaysia that I love to go to the most. It's in Kuala Lumpur. It has some of the biggest bookstores. It's perhaps the biggest bookstore in all of Malaysia, and it's where I got a lot of books. In fact, let me just bring up something. Where is it? In fact, fellas, the KL bookstore is where I got the very first Loud House comic book. And I also decided to pick up myself a random Ragnar Crimson manga. Okay, maybe I'm a bit of a dum-dum since I got the fourth chapter instead of 1, 2, or 3 first. But the second and third chapter were for some reason missing from that collection. So I was like, I just want to get to my favorite part, to the part I just want to see. That's all. Again, maybe I am a bit of a dum-dum. I probably should have bought the other 3 chapters first. Anyways, fast temperature control. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I added that in. For some reason. Stabler internet. Yeah, I'll admit. When I live here, I have a more stable internet. When I go to England, the internet gets really, really weird for some reason. Sometimes when I try watching on my sister's television, it keeps going on and off on the internet and saying there's a bit of a security problem. When I try going on YouTube on my phone or on the iPad, sometimes they'll say internet not secured. There's something funny with my sister's internet. And a higher chance of exercise, which means I can go on the treadmill, walk about, and etc. Now, as for the downsides, I've enlisted as many as well. Like I said, it's hard for me to make money in England. The parking is very expensive. I mean, didn't Mr. Bean teach you that in the swimming pool episode? Extreme winter can be very cold. Rarely any, you know what. Easy to get sick. When I went there, I often get sick a lot, sadly. Crappy beaches. Cold weather plus the fact that beaches don't look very good. Come to Malaysia, we got the better beaches. Or better, visit Thailand. Terrible healthcare. Like I said, they told me the warts will fall off, but the Malaysians say no, it won't fall off. You got to have it cut off. And they didn't do very well with some of my relatives, and they didn't make them prolong their lives. They rarely use palm oil. Now, contrary to popular belief, palm oil is actually pretty good. Yeah, I am aware of being over-harvested and stuff, but it's better than sunflower oil. Which can really cause your bloodstream to be cramped for a few years. Or even grapeseed oil. And if you're on a keto diet, palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil, those are some of the better options. Sunflower oil and peanut oil, vegetable oil, don't take those. Closed-minded relatives, some folks, they just are not open to other cultures. Some places smell like pee. No, really, when I go to some places, I was like, ew, that smells, why does it smell like somebody just marked their territory? Lots of lousy hotels. I actually been to some, I mean, there was one I went to that I was feeling like super hot, like super warm. I was like, how on earth can people live like this? Yeesh. Yeesh. And it was during the summer. And heck, I stayed in a kind of a lousy one in London, and when I woke up, I was so warm that I grew a zit on my back, and it really hurts. No aircons for summers, especially during super warm summers, like a hot night. Remember in the Mr. Bean episode, the animated one where he has to get rid of the fly? It was a hot night for him. He's like, lots of swearing and fights. This actually happened when I was trying to sleep. When I was sleeping, I overheard two folks shouting at each other. It was in the middle of the night. And I don't know if they were swearing, but they did sound very angry towards one another. I was like, oh dear. I think it was on a school night too. Subpar Buddhist temples. I actually been to a Buddhist temple in England, and it just looked like a regular house. Now the ones in Malaysia, the Kikloksi temple, oh, now that was magnificent. And I remember that Legends of the Hidden Temple crossover video of the Belly Button the Buddha that I did. That was the Kikloksi temple. That was my visit there. Like I said, it's so cold it's hard to exercise. There's no Chili's or Kenny Rogers Roasters. For those who don't know, Kenny Rogers Roasters is an American restaurant founded by the singer Kenny Rogers himself. It closed in the United States, but it still remains open in Malaysia. I don't know if Chili's is still in England, but still in the United States, but we do have it in Malaysia, and lots of tasty treats there. Toys R Us is gone. Thankfully in Malaysia we still have it. Internet often wonky, like I said, with the internet thingy. Shops close early, like I said. Here in Malaysia they open until super late. You have to get up super early in the morning, and that can be trouble for those who just want to work late. Not everybody is a morning person. But England, you're required to get up as early as you can, like 6, 7, or 8, to open the shops as early as you can. You tend to close at about 4, 5, or 6 p.m. Lots of highly polluted seas. I've been to Liverpool, the sea was all brown. Eesh. Tight airport securities. I think they are loosened a bit the last time I visited, but let's just say that their security is a bit more tighter than in Malaysia. money laundering ads even on kids' networks. I remember seeing a lot of money laundering ads on television. That they always have these you could be owed thousands of pounds or something like that. It's on a kid's network. Why would you need that? And also the barcodes is a little different too. Like they have to keep changing depending on the channel you're watching. I think on Cartoon Network they say 0025, but on Nickelodeon it was like 0022 or something like that. I pee too often because in Malaysia, since you don't sweat a lot, the urine, the sweat, the liquid gets more bottled up in your pee area. As for the super close teaser, I will discuss about that. And finally, here are the downs of Malaysia. Religion is kind of the law of the land, like a little bit Galileo type of laws of the land, where if you disobey something from Malaysia religiously, you can kind of get arrested. It's LGBT unfriendly, kind of plays to the religion is kind of the law of the land. If you do something LGBT related in public, you can go to jail. Thankfully, convictions are very rare. Hence why a lot of what is shown on Netflix that's LGBT related is rated 18, including The Loud House. Some movies are banned, like Lightyear, Thor Love and Thunder, etc. I had to wait till they're available for streaming so I can watch them. Some celebrities are banned, like I think Lady Gaga was banned at one point because they said she dressed up like the devil. And 1975, a band, when they were performing, suddenly they started kissing, doing the same-sex kiss, and this caused a lot of people an uproar and had them banned from doing any further concerts with them. Not much history. In fact, we have our biggest history in 1957. That's when we founded Malaysia. We don't conserve a lot of history much. While in England, we have a lot of history we preserve, like Henry VIII or William Shakespeare or Queen Elizabeth I, etc. Rhinoceros is extinct. Sadly, the Sumatran rhino became extinct in 2019. In fact, both Malaysia and England had an extinct rhino, Sumatran rhino and the woolly rhino, and they're both closely related. Has the worst school system ever. Not really, the school system I've been to back in England was absolute crap. I had to be homeschooled for the rest of the week. There's the mosquitoes and cockroaches, disgusting little creatures, but I see them a lot often and they're more of a nuisance. Not a lot of people speak very good English. Some of them are very broken English. They say off the light instead of turn off the light. Everyone judges you by appearances. Ageism for employment. They say 45 is the age limit on how you can work. Immigration is expensive. Some of my folks had to leave. Lots of snakes, not a lot of politeness. Street food is skeptical. Transportation is questionable. Hence why my mom likes to drive a lot. Can get too hot. Yes, like if you're not careful, it can get really, really warm. Plastic and rubber can melt. I mean, I remember owning some gargoyle puppets from Hunchback. They melted. Sweets attract ants if left out. If you leave out some candies in England, insects won't come that often because it's a bit too cold for them. But in Malaysia, 24/7 heat, ants. Old stuff can rot easily, hence why history isn't well preserved. Not all restaurants have toilets. In fact, you have to sometimes go outside to pee or poop or wash your hands. Services must be simple. You cannot say, "Can I have a cup of tea, please? I'll just have one tea, please." Verbal humor is invisible. Some people here prefer slapstick. Super spicy Indian and Middle Eastern food. Thankfully, in England, the Indian and Middle Eastern food isn't that spicy, but in Malaysia they can be, and for those who have an intolerance to chili, beware. And the brain damaged one, which is no longer with us. So yeah, that's the list I got. And moving on to the next things is Zazu dropping this little window thing just put on a magic lantern. For those who don't know, a magic lantern was like an old style projector. You may have seen this in Tarzan, you know, the during the Strangers Like Me segment. And there's Zuri, and according to this, these are Zuri Pig's favorite films of 1994. Four Weddings and a Funeral, Forrest Gump, and Pulp Fiction. I've only seen Forrest Gump, and I do remember Pulp Fiction with the English mother effer, do you speak it? Type of iconicness with Samuel L. Jackson. And here is Knuckles about to punch. And then he gives me a present. And it explodes, and here I am driving a Mazda, and it's skidding on the floor. This is what they want to be to do, have drive a Mazda and have me skid. And I said, hard to believe the Lorax approved this. This is referencing the Lorax ad, which is ironic since the Lorax is supposed to be about protecting the environment. Wait, hold it for a minute. Shh, just a minute. I'm nearly done, okay? So there, folks, that's my commentary on the first day of my animation countdowns. Tune in tomorrow for my second day when I turned a year old. See you then. Hope you enjoyed this video.